And welcome into the Thursday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We got a lot going on the program here today. It is the opening day of the NCAA tournament. We've got the first four matchups behind us, so the tournament beginning today, Vanderbilt in action later today. So we will get into that throughout the show. Predators head coach Andrew Brunette will be with us at 7:30. Pretty large game tonight between the Predators and the Seattle Kraken. So we got that going on. We'll get into all that throughout the show. Charles Robinson normally with us on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. He will be with us tomorrow on the program. So a lot of moving parts on today's program. And as always, the best and worst things in sports coming up later this hour at 6:45. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. I was just kind of messing around in my room, You got my, got my big coffee here and everything, just sitting around, and I'm like, oh, it's 6. I thought it was like 5:50. So, yeah. So, but that's, doing fine. And, the Miami Redhawks, tell you what, man, I'm very happy for Miami and for mid-majors that they went out and kicked SMU's butt last night. And I must say, that's going to be an interesting game with the Vols.
Interested to see how it goes, no doubt. I mean, I've told you, I don't think the Vols are making it out of the first weekend. So now my general consensus is that's going to come at the hands of Virginia, but
yeah,
maybe it's going to be Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I'd pick Tennessee to win this game. They will defend. They will do some things better defensively than SMU did for sure. But some of the stuff, this is what Miami is like. 5 dudes who can shoot and green light at all times. It's like, he shot that. Oh, he shot that. Oh, I mean, now it was hell of an atmosphere last night, in Dayton. So I don't know, like, what kind of crowd they'll have with them. Where the heck are they?
I don't remember where they are. They're not in Oklahoma City. I know that.
Yes. No, they are not here. Yes. But that was a big part of it. But no, I mean, I think it could be a good game for sure.
Philly. Ian, how we doing?
They're in Philly.
There you go. Philly.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm doing just fine, thanks. Doing just fine. Still a little chilly out there this morning. Hopefully it warms up. It's supposed to be nice this weekend. Looking forward to that. A little bummed they took Charmed off on Thursday. So
tough one.
Yeah. Just need some charm to get your day started.
Just on Thursday?
Well, they
Thursday
took it
and
on
Fridays,
Thursday and Fridays. Yeah. So I'm only Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Got the good vibes.
It's not enough Charmed.
Not enough. But doing good, thanks. Kept an eye on a little bit of basketball, a little bit of soccer. But yeah, happy Thursday, folks.
Happy Thursday. Well, we're off and running. Let's start here. We're going to get into the bracket. We're going to get into the Vanderbilt matchup, all that throughout the hour here coming up. I do want to start with this because it's been making the rounds this week, Joe. So Stephen A. Smith earlier this week was on ESPN. It was on First Take, and they were talking about, the NBA expanding to Vegas and Seattle. And Stephen A. Smith basically started talking about, expansion with Seattle. I was like, yeah, go to Nashville. Like, instead of going to Seattle, go to Nashville, because Nashville is a thriving city. And he laid out all these different reasons. So it's like, okay, Stephen A. Smith wants the NBA to go to Nashville. And then Draymond Green, your boy, hopped on his show and started talking about the expansion and the different conference. And then made a plea with Adam Silver of the NBA. Here's what Draymond Green had to say as it relates to the NBA in Nashville.
Everybody has been waiting for Seattle to get a team again, for Vegas to get a team. Wow, has it been time. One thing's for certain is it's going to make a lot of money. And when it make a lot of money, money talks. conference. Obviously, the first thought is, with the conferences, what happens with the conferences? You have 2 Western Conference teams coming in. Vegas has to be in the Western Conference. Seattle has to be in the Western Conference. But all is not broken. Minnesota needs to go to the Eastern Conference. Minnesota should be an Eastern Conference team. So no harm, no foul. Memphis, which should probably be in Nashville, should be an Eastern Conference team. Adam, let them just do us all a favor and take the team to Nashville. No harm, no foul. The relocation fee, it's a swap. See that arena? You ain't got to pay the relocation fee. So no harm, no foul there. Like, I think it's actually very easy to realign the conferences. But you ask yourself, or do you just get rid of the conferences?
So that was Draymond on his show talking about, hey, Adam Silver, let's just do us all a favor. Let's go from Memphis to Nashville. That was Draymond Green's advice there. So Stephen A. Smith, Draymond Green, in very different ways, one involving moving the Memphis Grizzlies, one involving expansion, very much want the NBA to come to Nashville, apparently.
Yeah,
Joe,
so
your thoughts?
Well, Draymond it's really not what he was talking about. And then he just kind of snuck it in. By the way, yeah, they should just move from Memphis to Nashville. Okay. Well, first of all, I think it's, with anything, MLB, as we know, for years, the discussion, I mean, like, we're going to be discussing any sort of, expansion team discussion right now. Right. I kind of tend to agree with people that Seattle, Seattle got their team taken away from them. And obviously they play in the arena that's 5 feet from me right now.
True.
And I just, to me, it seems like Seattle should get a team. Like, I don't think that Nashville should get a team at the expense of Seattle. The whole Memphis, I mean, I don't know, man. You take that away from Memphis, I mean, that's just kind of, we're gonna have a big thing now, and everybody yell about Memphis.
The people in Memphis are mad about this, man.
Yeah.
They heard those comments from Draymond Green. They are not happy.
I mean, yeah, and they already, I don't think, liked him very much. So maybe he was just kind of throwing a little dig in there. However it were to come about, it's an interesting idea. Let me ask you, could it work to have an NBA team with the Preds in Bridgestone Arena? And that does happen in some cities.
I mean, yeah, could it work? Sure. Yeah. Now, do the Preds want that? I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is now. But I mean, I think technically, could it work? Yes. Now, there's a lot going on in that building, and you probably have to rearrange like some of the things that you do. I mean, that building has the Predators. It has the CMA awards. It's got the SEC men's basketball tournament. There's a lot happening in that building, and that's not to mention the billion concerts that go on in there. So there's a lot going on, but yes, I think it could happen. Look, I think we're probably a ways away from NBA to Nashville. Like, they're going to Vegas, they're going to Seattle, and then you'll see what happens after that. I don't think they're going to move the Grizzlies. Like, I understand that that's what Draymond wants them to do, and people have talked about that before. I don't think they're going to move the Grizzlies from Memphis to Nashville. So I don't think this is in danger of happening anytime soon. But yeah, I think, technically you could pull it off if you really wanted to.
Yeah. How long is CMA? Is that a week?
And I mean, the setup, it's the awards themselves are one night. The setup for it takes forever in that building. So yeah.
I will say, selfishly, if we had an NBA team, I mean, that would cut way into the concert inventory, man.
It would.
Which actually, I don't really like that idea. So,
how about this? I mean, look, they're clearly trying to get a WNBA team too. So, like, what happens if you had an NBA team, an NHL team, and a WNBA team?
Yeah,
I know the calendars don't all line
the calendar would be fine.
But you're talking about concerts, like very, very many concerts in Bridgestone.
No, we have a lot of venues here, but some of them, like, that's the place for a lot of them. That's the perfect spot, perfect.
Everybody's playing at new Nissan Stadium. Doesn't matter what size your band is. You're playing at new Nissan Stadium.
Yeah. It might be a little bit big. So, well, I mean, it's not. I guess it's nice. I mean, again, anytime anything comes up, Nashville's just going to get brought up. So, I mean, usually, like, Stephen A. Smith just says like random stuff all the time, I think, right? I mean, that's the only thing I ever see is like clips of him saying something like, "Really? What?" But yeah, like the Seattle, that's like, just leave it alone, man. Like, I still kind of miss the Supersonics, actually.
Yeah,
like that was an awesome, like, uniform, team name,
Yeah.
team colors, you know.
Sean Kemp running around dunking the ball everywhere.
The X-Man.
Yeah.
Detlef Shrimp,
I would love to know
the glove.
I had the
if
Sean
you-
Kemp shoes
the
in like
glove.
7th grade, something like that.
Nice.
They
I
were
would
pretty
love to
ugly
know-
looking back, but I liked them at the time.
Hey, styles change over time. If you took a straw poll of like Nashville residents, what would they rather have, an NBA team or an MLB team? I think the MLB team would win, but I don't know that.
Yeah, I think MLB probably would win. That's an interesting, I mean, it's obviously it comes down to like a personal preference for, what sport you like, but I do think the summer, the idea of having like the ballpark all summer as something to do and something to go to. I mean, I think that I would think that would be more appealing. I mean, obviously the NBA season is concurrent with the NHL season and
Yeah.
college basketball and so much stuff going on. There's no shortage. Like there's never a dull moment during that time of year anyway. But like a baseball team, that changes things if you have that all summer long, every summer.
615-737-1025. We're off and running today on Robby and Rexrode. So those are your ideas thrown out there by Stephen A. Smith and Draymond Green. You could react to that however you want to. It is a big day. It's one of Joe Rexrode's favorite day of the year. The tournament is beginning today. We will get into that. We will get into the Final Four, our national championship picks, Vanderbilt's matchup, Tennessee's matchup, all that coming up. We'll take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. The NCAA tournament underway today. One of the great days on the sporting calendar. Vanderbilt in action today. We will get into that coming up here in just a few minutes. Joe, do you want to start with your bracket? What did the nation's leading bracketologist settle on for his Final Four and championship picks as we head into this?
And also before I say that, to remind anyone, as I'm sure I've said this before, but last time I won a bracket pool was in 1994, and it was because I had to race to fill out the bracket to get to the bar, on time for the first games. So, keep that in mind there for me. I'm not good at this, actually, but yeah. So I think I may have said this yesterday. I'll say it again. So I got 4 double-digit seeds. I got South Florida beating Louisville. I've got Hofstra beating Bama, Akron beating Texas Tech, and I got Santa Clara beating Kentucky. So it's not like, it's not the most daring bracket. I don't have any 14s or 15s doing anything crazy. Hopefully we get something like that. But I went with one pick that I think, a lot of people are going to be like, are you serious? I went with the obvious. I mean, Arizona. I have Arizona beating Gonzaga in the Elite Eight and get to the Final Four. I have Michigan beating Iowa State in the Elite Eight, and Chicago getting to the Final Four. Those are very chalky. Even though I have all those upsets in the Midwest, it comes down to Michigan and Iowa State. I also have Tennessee getting to the Sweet 16, beating UVA, but then losing Iowa State. I have Houston winning in Houston over Florida to get to the Final Four out of the South, and tempted by Illinois, very tempted by Illinois, but I just think Houston's toughness, I just think they're going to do what they did last year. Even though they're not the same team, Juwan Roberts is missing, and they've missed him this year. I mean, they also have Kingston Flemings and Chris Sinak, and I think they're going to make a run. And then my big surprise bracket is the toughest region, I think, by far, which is the East. And I have St. John's going to the Final Four. I have UCLA upsetting UConn. I have St. John's upsetting Duke. I have St. John's going to the Final Four and joining Houston, Zona, and Michigan, and getting to the title game against Arizona and ultimately losing. This would make St. John's an outlier. They're 44th in offensive efficiency. It's basically you got to be top 25 in both. History tells us in the Ken Pom era. One exception was 2014, Shabazz Napier going nuts for UConn. They shocked an Izzo team that, thought it was going to win it all in the Elite Eight, down 9 in the second half, came back. He buried them. He won. Remember LeBron was tweeting like, I need this dude on my team. Shabazz Napier, yes.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
And then he left the team that drafted him. Yeah, it was fun.
But this is Zuby Ejiofor, who, as Mike Francesa has pointed out, had to sit there behind Wilt Chamberlain at Kansas.
Yeah.
And, to wait his turn. But he's
Joel
the guy.
Embiid. Joel Embiid. Good. Had to sit behind him. Thanks.
But he's going to be the star to bring them and make them a shocking outlier getting to the title game. I'm on the Patino train this March.
There you go. I've got my Final Four is somewhat boring. It's Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and Houston. I have Houston winning the national championship, Joe.
Okay.
Houston's taking down Duke, then they're taking down Arizona in the national championship game. And really, there's no other reason for that other than everybody else is picking Arizona, Michigan, or Duke. So I'm going to be a little bit different, and I'm going Houston.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. When you're in these now, granted, this year I do think at least there's enough variance there because Michigan, Arizona, and Duke I think are getting a lot of picks to win it. So at some years it's like, I even feel like last year there was a lot of Florida, right? Like they were playing so well.
Yeah.
And this year at least but I mean, to win a bracket pool, if you have a champion that's a little bit of an outlier, I mean, that could set you apart at the very end, you know. So you may, that may bode well for you if Houston wins it, because I don't think there'll be too many people who have that.
I don't think so either. Now you ready for my hot take for Thursday? I've got a couple of them, but
Yeah.
I'll start on the game that matters the most around here. I got McNeese taking down Vanderbilt in my bracket.
Ooh.
What do you make of that? I think this is a tricky game for them today.
Look, I don't think it's crazy. It absolutely could happen. It's funny because we were actually talking to some people who cover McNeese, and I was in the McNeese locker room yesterday. Of course, talking to Amir Khan. Got to hang out with the manager, with the boombox. But no, they're like, if they can turn Vandy over, because they're going to do some pressing stuff and things like that. If they can turn Vandy over, they can. It is a tricky game, and a guy named Larry Johnson for them. He's a slashing kind of wing freshman, 6'4", 6'4", 200, powerful driver. Just I think, honestly, I think it's probably going to end up having to be a lot of Chandler Bing, but it's a very tough matchup for him, and he broke my guy Joe Dumar's freshman scoring record this year at McNeese State, set in 1981-82 season, by the way.
There you go.
But no, I mean, they're a dangerous team. They're a dangerous team. They have several guys who can hit the three, and I don't. That's not the craziest pick at all.
And before people call me a Vandy hater, just remember that I picked Vandy to beat Tennessee both times the last time, and they did. So just throwing that out there. I've got a weird feeling about it. I do. I've had it all week. I think McNeese is going to beat them.
I mean, it's they could, and Troy, by the way, could beat Nebraska today.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
That's the game that I'm kind of, I've been doing a lot of work on, and it's a huge deal here. I think Nebraska fans are going to take this arena over, and obviously they're going for their first win. Everybody's talking about it. They're the only Power 5 team that doesn't have an NCAA tournament win. And actually, sorry, Vanderbilt fans, you remember well when Northwestern got their first 9 years ago. But yeah, Troy also is dangerous. And that's, you get into the 4-5, the 4-13, 5-12 stuff, and you can get some tricky stuff. So
are there nerves there? Are there Husker nerves about winning the first one?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you're talking to these guys, and it's like everybody's talking about this, this making history, but Nebraska is a team that should absolutely expect to get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to be like we just won the Super Bowl thing today if they win? I mean, if Vanderbilt does win, and that's the case, that might bode well for Vanderbilt.
Yep. Let's head to our phone.
To you, it might bode well for McNeese State.
Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in, Kenny, the mailman, to the program. Kenny, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Robby, you're sending me to work in a bad mood.
I'm sorry, Kenny.
That's all right. You're just saying what you feel. Rexrode, you're the man I turn to for cool reasoning and sound logic. Are you ready to dish something out?
Boy, I don't know. That's a lot of pressure. I'll try.
All right. Texas and North Carolina State played. SMU and Miami of Ohio played, and they were all deemed to be 11 seeds, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the tournament is saying those 4 teams are better than 25% of the teams in the tournament, but you're going to play an extra game to be in the tournament.
Yep.
Why in the world don't they just have 8 16th ranked teams play for the 4 16th seeds, and then they play the number 1 seed, which should earn the right to play a team that's already played? These teams played, and then they turn around and play again, and they're supposed to be better than 25% of the field. I do not get it.
Thank you, Kitty. I've been screaming about this for years. Joe, I think I ranted about this last year. It drives me nuts that the 11 seeds are in a play-in game.
Yeah, well, it's the first round of the tournament, but yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I mean, basically, the answer is because these are the last at-larges. So all the other seeds, are the automatic bid, are the one bid leagues, and they're all automatic bids who won their conference tournaments. And these are the last 4 teams that were on the at-large list, and so you have two play each other and two play each other. I mean, the answer, what is the answer? I mean, some of it is, we didn't really need this anyway. Also, some of the answer is for TV, so that every game isn't, Prairie View against Lehigh. It's, it's a Texas playing, right? I mean, so that's some of it. But yeah, it is the bottom of the at-larges, and then it's the bottom of the automatic bids that end up in Dayton.
Yeah,
whether that makes it, a good idea or not, I'm not saying that's the case, but that's the reasoning.
Right. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Lots more coming on the NCAA tournament. We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Right Time HVAC, Cromwell Media teaming up to bring comfort back to your home. Is your heating system struggling or completely out of commission following the winter storms? Or do you need a fix to get you ready for summertime? If so, nominate yourself for the Right Time Home Rescue and tell us your story. You can enter today at thegamenashville.com/HVAC, and you can win a new HVAC system installed by Right Time HVAC. Right Time HVAC, locally owned and operated. There's never a wrong time to call Right Time. Taking your thoughts on the NCAA tournament, 615-737-1025. By the way, speaking of the tournament, we're running out of time. So if you need a bracket to fill out for the tournament, head to thegamenashville.com/mayhem and print off your bracket today. Presented by Toyota. Fuel your adrenaline at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Also brought to you by Pizzona MD and Thompson Machinery. So, Joe, Vanderbilt obviously figured some things out in the SEC tournament. Get into the SEC championship game. They've had a great year. Tyler Tanner, it's been really fun to watch here. So, look, conventional wisdom should tell you they're going to win today against McNeese. My weird feeling about the game aside, I think they're like a 12-point favorite in the game. What do you make of the opportunity in front of Vanderbilt here? We've gone through their path earlier this week, but if you're a Vanderbilt fan, how are you feeling about the way your team played in the tournament heading into this? And now, how built do you think they are for a deep run here in March?
Well, I think you got to feel pretty good about how they're playing. I think they've gotten, obviously, Duke Miles back going again. He's rolling. He and Tyler Tanner playing off each other really well. You kind of figured out the rotation. I mentioned Chandler Bing. He's kind of that defensive stopper. When somebody gets going, it's like put Bing on him, and he's been a really nice addition. I think the big thing about the last game, it was actually a really bad shooting game for Vanderbilt. I think that Arkansas game really was just about makes and misses. Like sometimes that's what it is. I think they got shots they wanted and they missed more. They missed layups. They just had a lot of guys had a rough shooting day, and Arkansas had a pretty kind of outlier good shooting day. But Tyler Nickel did hit shots for Vanderbilt, and that's the thing. If you can get him feeling good and get him hitting a couple early today, I think that would be a big deal. If you can get all three of those guards hitting shots and the way that they're battling inside, even though they have some limitations, I think as a Vanderbilt fan, you should feel like you have a really good chance to get out of this weekend and get to the Sweet 16 and get to Houston. And then, if fans can look ahead. Look, again, I've said it before. If I'm Vanderbilt, I'm absolutely signing up for Florida over any of the other 1 seeds. I know I can beat them. And so that could be a rubber match in the Sweet 16 that you're not afraid of at all. But I agree with you, too, that if these tournament runs, these would-be runs, every year there's a lot of teams that if they just get that first game, they could go on a run. Florida in the year 2000 just had an incredible kind of lucky last-second win over Butler, back when people were like, Butler, where are they from? And they ended up going all the way to the national championship game. So you got to get past that first one, and it can be very tricky.
I know that this is a game happening tomorrow, but I also picked Hofstra over Alabama, and now the amount of people picking that is making me very uncomfortable about picking that game.
Yeah, I know. It's like it feels like it's just going to be like Bama by 20.
Bama's going to destroy them.
Yeah.
Do they rally after the guy's suspended or whatever?
Yeah.
Or does it really affect him?
Maybe Nate Oates is playing the disrespect card as we speak. It may be valid this time around.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think that he should be. So, yeah, that one is. I know that one's way too popular and way too obvious. But I'm sticking with it. In fact, I just filled out another bracket here. Got to get the brackets filled out.
How many you got?
Well, I have this one is like Stuart Mandel does one every year, so I'm doing that. And then there's a family one that we have. I have to do that, but I always do this. I don't do different brackets. I have it written out here, and then I do that's what I do. I do one pick, and because people who like, again, if you're trying to win money, I guess I get it. like have all kinds of different sorts of brackets and join a bunch of pools, and I guess, but it's also like then you don't even know who to root for when you're watching games, right? Like I like to like just know, okay, it's kind of like fantasy football to me. If you have more than 2 teams, then it gets into like, oh, oh no, that's bad, then is that fun? I don't think so.
No, as somebody who 1 year had 4 teams, it's not fun at all. Let me tell you.
No.
That's why I cap myself at 2 now.
Yeah, 2 is that's the cap. So, and for me, the bracket, it's just 1, and then you roll with it. And with me, you roll with it, and you ultimately are disappointed because you screwed something up.
All right, for
That's
today,
okay.
We've talked about Vanderbilt McNeese. Obviously, that's of huge local interest here. What is the most interesting game beyond that coming up today? People have asked us about Arkansas. They're taking on Hawaii today. I don't think they're going to have any problem with Hawaii. One of my other hot takes, Texas is taking down BYU in the 6-11 matchup. But really my justification for that is I think somebody who plays in the first 4 is going to win, and I think it's going to be them. I don't think it's going to be anybody else. So I'm going Texas taking down BYU. But any other games today outside of the Vanderbilt game that particularly strike your interest? There's one I think you may go with, but I'm interested to see what you say.
Yeah, well, first of all, I definitely do not hate that. I don't hate at all the Texas BYU pick. That is, I absolutely could see that happening. I kind of regret not picking that one myself. Yeah, today, I think we got a chance for a lot of good games. I'm looking at. I mean, I tell you what, a game that I don't know if it's going to be, a great game. It could be a total blowout, but I'm interested. Is tonight Penn, Illinois? I'm
Okay.
That game is just. I think it's sneaky interesting. The Penn Illinois game. You obviously have some 8-9s that are good. I think VCU North Carolina is an interesting game. I picked UNC, but
That's what I thought you were going to say. Yeah.
That is certainly. And look, as much as and I have them winning, and I really hope we get Wisconsin, Arkansas in the round of 32, because I just think that would be an amazing game to watch Nick Boyd and John Blackwell go against Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas. Those guys. High Point can beat Wisconsin. High Point is a really good team, 12 seed, 30-4 this year. And Wisconsin has been, as much as they have been a giant killer, and they have these incredible wins this year, they also have some losses that you kind of scratch your head. So I'd say that one is tricky. And I picked South Florida to beat Louisville for the Mikel Brown Jr. is not playing today. That's a huge loss for Louisville. It sounds like he probably wouldn't play if they got to the next game. So I think that one is, that's an 11-6, but you take him off in Louisville, it's more like a 8-9 kind of game,
Yeah.
really. So that's one, and with the Vanderbilt game here, TCU Ohio State, very first game is going to be really interesting. But another thing that, and Mark Byington said this, and it's true. One thing to remember with Vanderbilt too is that I think Nebraska is overtaken this town, and so what that means is, if they win, and if they lose, they're going to be dejected and leave the arena, and but if they win their game against Troy, they are all going to sit there and root like heck against Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And Byington said it yesterday. Like, I think it's going to be like the crowd's going to be against us. The crowd's always generally, against the favorite for the underdog, but especially if you have the other team's fans own the arena and they'd rather play McNeese than they're going to root like heck against you.
It's a good point. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. The best and worst things in sports coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
The best and worst of the sports week. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is the worst.
You look like you're feeling sorry for yourself.
He's one of one. He is him.
This is a Coke bottle. It's not a crystal ball.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
It is that time of the week, time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your best things, your worst things on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Rexrode, kick us off with your best and worst things in the world of sports.
So I'll go more specific than just like the best being March Madness. I mean, we all know that that's the best in sports, but I'll go with Miami. I'll go with those Miami Redhawks. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Jeff, a proud Miami grad, and all the Miami fans. And just the fact that they were able to go out last night and put on a show and hit those shots and validate. You know, now I see people saying, a lot of people like college, basketball circles saying, this proves they shouldn't have been in the first four. I still think that it was the correct thing to do to have them there. Some of their resume was substandard, but 31-1, it does mean something. And it's a pretty good basketball team, and it's pretty awesome. It was an awesome scene last night and performance by them to beat a good SMU team. And on the flip side, my worst, the SMU Mustangs got into the tournament by making the announcement that BJ Edwards, former Vol, was going to be available for the tournament. He's missed, I think they lost 4 or 5 or 5 of 6 games, and he had been out with an ankle injury. Clearly, the third leading scorer, all around very important player for that team, totally affected them in a negative way. So they put out the statement, he will be available. So Keith Gill and the selection committee say, well, SMU got in, he's available. So we watched them with him, and they're a different team. And so there you go. And what happens last night? He's in street clothes, unavailable. I mean, this is, these things, of course, teams want their players back and stuff like that. But you better not
shenanigans
statements. Yeah, you better not come out with these definitive statements that are going to affect the selection committee, and then they don't turn out to be true. I mean, I think this is a real
what's
problem.
The recourse?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know, but I think that it needs to be discussed that there could be some potential recourse. I mean, it's just like, to me, it seems clear that they put that out. Hopefully, I mean, maybe not. Maybe they totally lied. I don't know. But I don't know that the whole thing needs to be discussed as a process, because something like that's going to come up again soon.
Yeah, no doubt. Ian Safari, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
You know what? I'm going to go for it. Nashville SC. How about it?
There you go.
Knocking out Miami.
Away goal.
And Messi last night.
Have some of that.
Advance in the Champions Cup. 5-0-3 to start the season, unbeaten in their first 8 matches for the first time in franchise history. I don't know if they will be a legit contender in the MLS. I think they might. They've made some a few moves here and there, tweaked the defense, added a couple of extra offensive pieces. They look pretty good. So best so far this week, Nashville SC, unbeaten their first 8 matches. Okay, worst. What about this report from Schefter? NFL laying groundwork for hiring replacement officials this season if the league can't agree with the new CBA with the NFL Referees Association.
Yeah.
What is going on with the refs?
We've seen that before.
In the NFLs and replacement refs and the whole. Enough is enough already. Let's pay them. Let's make them full time. I don't know. I've heard reports that college referees make more money than NFL referees. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard the SEC and some of these big conferences pay their refs a lot of money. And I think the NFL needs to figure this out.
I haven't heard that. That's interesting, but they all need to make more money.
The replacement refs in the NFL again could be interesting. That went very well last time, Joe. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
I mean, it's just you are printing money, NFL. You are printing money. You 32 clowns can't figure out like what's good for the game. Really? Like, come on.
My best thing in sports, TSU in the tournament. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really hoping they could pull off the upset against Iowa State, but even if they don't, I mean, it's an awesome story. The fact that Nolan Smith was hired in freaking July and they've gotten to the NCAA tournament is awesome. You're going to hear a lot about it. You've already heard a lot about it this week, but you'll, as they play, continue to hear more about it. So hoping that they can hang in there against Iowa State, but an awesome story nonetheless that they're in the NCAA tournament. My worst thing is this. I could go World Baseball Classic with Team USA. Other people have done that on the text line, so I'll leave that one alone. So the GM meetings are going on down there where the NHL and, Gary Bettman are talking about all these things in Florida. And one of the things that keeps coming up is the playoff format.
I had this written down.
It just the absolute refusal from Gary Bettman to budge on this is just amazing to me. And the reasoning that he keeps giving about the current playoff format in the NHL is that you get great first round matchups. You know what's better than that? Great conference final matchups. That'd be awesome. Let's do that. Like, look, I understand. Look, the Stanley Cup playoffs are awesome. And, they've changed the format. They were awesome when they were 1-8. They've been awesome when they've been under this format. So I get all that. But there's no reason that like Dallas and Minnesota should be playing each other in the first round of playoffs this year. I'm sorry. It's just dumb. And the inability to just wave on this when like all the players and all the coaches and most of the general managers want this is just amazing to me.
No, it's so dumb, and it's just like it's not every year that it's a real problem, but it's enough where it's like, no, this needs to be later. I don't.
And Minnesota GM Bill Guerin's like, no, I don't think this is good at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like complete
almost
opposite.
Everybody in the NHL feels that way.
I wonder what the owners think, because Bettman works for the owners, right?
Yeah. I mean, all they really care about is the money. So the league's in a good spot money-wise. But, like, good grief. Like, I don't think this should be that hard to look at it, Joe, and be like, hey, the second and third best teams in the NHL probably don't need to be playing each other in the first or second round.
Right. Yeah, take a cue from, any other tournament and seeding and bracketing. It doesn't, some reseed, some don't, whatever. The NFL reseeds, but nobody has it like this, where you're locked in sometimes to matchups that absolutely should not be taking place as early as they are.
Yeah.
And why is it important? Like, why does that help you to have those?
It's a great question.
That's a good worst. I got a worst here from Laura Rutledge being replaced on SEC Nation by Matt Barry. Who? If this is Laura's decision, a replacement should be Alyssa Lang. Well, I think it is Laura's. Laura Rutledge, she's going all NFL.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's great. Yeah, Matt Barry's the guy who does he does the college football final right now.
Yeah, he's fine.
And he's fine, but I agree. I think Alyssa Lang's really good too. So
yeah, I agree. Friend of the show.
I don't disagree. That's right.
Friend of the
show. That's right.
Mike from Pennsylvania says, worst thing in sports, the Browns' proposal of being able to trade up to 5 years out from draft picks. NFL general managers get too desperate too quick. That could cripple a franchise for 7 to 8 years trading those picks. I don't know, Joe. I kind of like it. I kind of like the idea of more trades happening in the NFL and you being able to trade 5 years out of draft picks. You could see some absolute disastrous decisions get made, which I think is fun. I think it'd be hilarious.
Which is why it's absolutely perfect that it's the Browns that are suggesting this. So yeah, guys, we want to be even more dysfunctional and made fun of than we were before. Let's start trading some 2028 picks. I mean, some 2031 picks.
Yeah.
I just forgot what year it is. Apparently I just think it's 2023 right now, forever.
Yeah. Officer Watson says, best thing in sports, huge game for the Preds tonight, could move into a playoff spot. We're going to get into that here very shortly, but it is a massive game for the Predators coming up tonight. So we'll take more of your best and worst on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We will get into that matchup. Predators head coach Andrew Brunette will join us coming up at 7:30. We'll take more of your thoughts on the NCAA tournament throughout the next hour as well. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. There's been a glow surrounding Joe Rexrode. If you've been watching the video feed today, you probably noticed it. It's like some angelic glow. And it's because it's Rexrode's favorite day of the year. I mean, it's the beginning of the NCAA tournament. He's been smiling the whole show. Joe, how's it feel today? I mean, you're in Oklahoma City. You're 7 feet away from the arena where you're going to be covering the tournament today. Like, how good's life for Joe Rexrode right now?
Yeah, hard to complain, man. Hard to complain. Don't never take it for granted. My first NCAA tournament I covered was in 1999. I covered Wally Zerbiak, by the way, speaking of the Miami of Ohio Redhawks in a game, losing to Kentucky. But no, it's the best, man. It's the best. And I told, we have Joey Dwyer, friend of the show, who's here covering Vanderbilt. And I told him, I think I told him, gosh, did I tell him or did I just mean to tell him? Well, I'll tell him now. If you're covering a team in a venue, don't, like you cover the day session or something, like you stay for all the games. You do not miss a game at your site because that may be like the game that people talk about forever. In fact, it's funny because Gentry was covering Tennessee and Indy a few years ago and, left and was not in the building for St. Peter's beating Kentucky. It's like you do not leave the building. So no, I'll be there in there all day today. Can't wait. And you just never know. Sometimes a day's not all that eventful, and sometimes you have 4 absolute crazy things happening in all 4 games. It's the best, man. So hope a lot of you are skipping work, making up illnesses, and enjoying yourselves today.
What's today? It's like the day to get a vasectomy. Like this is like the nation's leading day for vasectomies across the country.
Or you get it on, Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's like, and then you got to sit on the couch for the next 2 days. Sorry, gonna have to sit there and ice the marbles. So just gonna have to watch basketball all day. Sorry.
So I guess if you're listening to us and that's you've elected to do that over the last couple of days, Godspeed today. Hope you enjoy some good basketball. I do want to shout out Trevor on the text line who has made me aware of this. I guess Alontae Taylor was addressing the media yesterday, and PK asked him about giving up 8 touchdowns last year, and somebody screenshotted Taylor's face as he was asking him that question. And then Alontae Taylor quote tweeted, it was like, man, what are you talking about? So good to know PK's off to a good start with Alontae Taylor.
Oh man. Well, first of all, there's nothing wrong with like asking about,
no.
But I'm sure PK did it with a special flair. Just
so Alontae, you couldn't stop anybody from getting in the end zone last year. What's with that?
Why do they catch all the balls in the end zone against you, Alontae?
I was previously unaware that this conversation took place, so that's awesome. Just amazing.
That look on his face is pretty amazing.
It's pretty
really?
awesome. He's like, really? This is where we're going here.
Who is this goofball?
We will get into an exercise with a mock draft that Joe Rexrode participated in later in the program that honestly I'm stunned. Like I cannot believe this happened in this mock draft, but we'll get into it a little bit later in the show. Charles Robinson, normally with us at 8:00 on Thursday. He will be with us tomorrow at 7:30. So looking forward to that. Joe, it's a massive game tonight for the Preds. So they have Seattle coming into town. They are 2 points back of the Kraken for that final playoff spot in the Western Conference as things get in action tonight. So you've got Seattle and the Predators head to head. If you can win this game in regulation, if you're the Preds, you're going to even them up at 71 points. Now, LA is in front of you. San Jose is in front of you as well. And I'm looking right now to see, where those teams are playing tonight because I'm just assuming that at least one of them will be. The Sharks are playing at home against Buffalo, and the Kings are at home against the Flyers. So who knows where, it's all going to end up by the end of the night. Like, LA could win, and they could be in the final spot, or San Jose could win, and they could be in the final spot. So, but you've at least got an opportunity tonight, Joe, to draw yourself dead even with the Kraken. You would, if you win this game, you would be even in points. You'd be even in games played. Like, you'd be right there with Seattle. So it's a pretty large game tonight at Bridgestone Arena. Biggest game they've had at Bridgestone Arena in a while tonight.
Yeah, look, and credit to them for hanging in. It's not like they haven't gone on a heater here to hang in. They've kind of been step forward, step back, but that's still been enough to hang in there. But when you lose some of the guys they lost, and you get picked apart a little bit at the trading deadline, there are teams that fade when that happens. The Preds are, what are they? 4-4-2 in their last 10. So, it's not great. There was opportunity here for them to be in a better position right now, but still to be able to have a game of this magnitude on March 19th after what happened at the deadline that's a great development for the guys in the room, right? To be able to play games of that kind of meaning at this point.
Yeah, for sure. And they beat Seattle last week in what at the time was a big game. They drew themselves within one, and then you blow a game in Vancouver. After that, you lose on the road to Edmonton, and you found yourself basically, right where you were before that. It's a big win they get the other night against Winnipeg. But you got an opportunity here, Joe. You've got tonight against the Kraken. You got a lot of games coming up, but you're at home again on Saturday. I realize it's Vegas, but you're at home against Vegas. You got Chicago on the road Sunday, which is a very winnable game. You're going directly against San Jose on Tuesday, so that's another team that's right there with you in the playoffs. And then you got two more home games after that against New Jersey and Montreal. So, varying degrees of, quote unquote, level of difficulty with some of these teams, but you've got 5 of your next 6 at home. Like, this is a massive opportunity here. If you could take care of your home schedule. I mean, if you let's say in these next 6 games, you got 5 of them at home. If you can walk out of there with 9 points, 9 of 12, I think you're going to probably like where you're at the end of that. So, 9 of 12 is not an easy thing to do.
No.
Montreal is a good team. Vegas is a good team. And when you're playing every other day, I mean, it's a challenging thing. But if you could, 8 or 9 points in the next 12, I think you're really going to like where you're at if you're the Predators.
No, if they do that, I think they'd be probably holding a spot at that point. It's like you said, you back through what they've been doing. It's just, that point of Vancouver that's just one where you're like, man, you don't want to do that. But most of these games are manageable, and I mean anybody in the Pacific is beatable, right? I mean, it's kind of amazing. Sure. When you look at, the Preds could, they wouldn't be, they're only 9 points behind the Pacific leading Ducks at this point. I mean, it's amazing to look at the difference between the 2 divisions in the West this year. But yeah, there's nothing ahead that's that's undoable, if that's a word. But can they string stuff together like they haven't been able to do here for a while and really get rolling?
That's going to be the question. And look, they've had some, Forsberg got back on the board the other night. That was important. A great shot by him to beat Hellebuck. He had gone into a little bit of kind of a mini slump. Stamkos has cooled off a little bit here. So if you could get him going again, Riley, big goal in the shootout the other night. It's been a great story from Matt Wood, right? Like we talked about it yesterday. Matt Wood's going to be flirting with a 20-goal season as a rookie. Given all the ups and downs from him this year, if that's where he ends up, that's awesome. He's looked really good at center. So a lot of stuff to like there. But if you could get, Forsberg starting to roll again, if you could get Stamkos maybe going again on the power play here, like you all of a sudden be cooking with gas. And look, to his credit, I think for the most part, since the Olympic break, Saros has been pretty good. So, if Saros can continue to play as well as he's played coming out of the Olympic break, I think you're going to give yourself a shot coming down the stretch here.
Does Saros need to be, for them to actually get in, does he have to take it up another notch?
Probably. That would be my guess. Probably. I still like their defense. I think their defense is better than it was a year ago. I still think that you can run into some problems out there with their defense. So yes, I mean they had one blown coverage the other night where I think it was Josh Morrissey. I mean, he could have pitched a tent in the middle of the slot. He was so open. So you can't be having some of that. But yeah, like I think Saros will probably have to take it up another notch if they're going to get in. But I think for the most part, he has been good since the Olympic break, which is a good sign.
Yeah, no, it seems like that really, because you wonder about that. I mean, there is like wear and tear, there's a lot of pressure that goes along with that. It seems like maybe that was a good mentally for him.
Yeah,
to have the success he had, especially considering how things were going before the break.
So a large game tonight for the Predators. They got the Kraken coming into town. We'll have Andrew Brunette coming up at 7:30. We'll take your thoughts on the Predators at 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the NCAA tournament. Everything on the board. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 the game. Come play hooky with 102.5 The Game today at Jelly Rolls Goodnight Nashville and tomorrow at Boom Ba's in East Nashville from noon to 6. You can watch the basketball games with us, enjoy great food, handcrafted beverages, and win prizes. NCAA tournament coverage on 102.5 The Game is presented by Maple Street Biscuit Company and Nelson's Greenbrier Distillery. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. We will have Predators head coach Andrew Brunette joining us at 7:30. We'll get into tonight's big game against the Seattle Kraken with him, taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025 on the game against the Kraken coming up tonight as well. Joe, I believe we have received potentially the highest compliment that we could receive on the text line. You know, we did our Kuharski impressions last segment, and Byron has texted in and says that, you know, he honestly can't be the only listener who isn't 100% sure whose PK impression is whose, meaning we sound pretty similar. And I told him that's the highest compliment we could receive.
Wow, we are. So that's max versatility right there.
Yeah,
I can speak for myself. Like whenever I decide to do a PK impersonation, you just never know what it's going to sound like. Sometimes it's like Edith Bunker, you know, Archie. I just who knows?
Especially my husband, Archie Bunker.
There we go. You just never know. So that's great.
I didn't know he was going to go crazy about raccoons yesterday, but he did. So that went down a path I didn't expect.
Yeah. A lot of animal talk yesterday, and then apparently he decided to continue to take out his frustration by fending Alante Taylor immediately. So
I guess so.
Is that something that we could get? Can we get that audio? Can we find that?
Yes, sure, it's out there somewhere.
Yes, I think we can.
Maybe it'll be included in something later this hour. We'll see. George from Murfreesboro says Matt Wood might be the best first-round pick the Preds have had in a while. Look, I really like him. I like kind of the poise that he brings. You know, he scores the big goal the other night, Joe, against Connor Hellebuck, and that gives the Predators a 3-2 lead. Now, Winnipeg tied it up after that, and they won it in the shootout, but that's a huge goal from Wood the other night, kind of just patiently waiting, quick snapshot to beat Hellebuck over the glove. And, you know, Max Hers tweeted this out after the game, Joe, but this was the quote. They were asking, you know, Matt Wood after the game about, you know, where that ranks on the list of the biggest goals he's ever scored. And his quote was, I think the biggest goal I'll ever score is the next one. That's the Matt Wood quote, which I like a little bit of that. A little bit of swagger. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I like that too. But I mean, what if it's like an empty netter against a crappy team?
I don't know.
It's not that great, man. Sorry. But no, yeah, I like the no rear, you know, it's like John Calipari in the last few days. I don't have a rear view mirror. It's straight ahead.
Yeah.
No, it's really nice to see someone seem to be developing before our eyes like this. I mean, you know, too many of their prospects, as we've talked about a million times, just have had just sort of a ceiling on them, and you can just kind of see it's like, yeah, it's not what they hoped when they drafted this guy. But I mean, you can see where, and who knows where it's going to end up, what the actual ceiling is. But I mean, you can see more growth ahead for him.
Yeah.
The physicality, like you said, the poise, maturity. I mean, they needed it, and they need more of it.
Well, no, and what makes him different is like you're talking about, you know, a 21-year-old that has some skill to him, but he's also 6'4" and like 210 pounds. Like he's a big dude. So that helps, right? Like he's not getting pushed around out there. He can win battles along the wall if he's playing wing, as Brunette has talked about, and we'll probably get into this in a little bit more detail with him coming up here in just a few minutes. But he's got pretty good speed coming through the neutral zone, especially for a guy that's his size. So, like, you're talking a 6'4" guy that can skate, that's got a good shot. Like, I think if you're a Predators fan, you're like, this dude's 21. Like, I think you start to allow yourself to think about what he could turn into. And look, I'm not going to act like I think Matt Wood's ever going to turn into like some 100-point guy or anything, but I think he could be a really, really good top 6 player for them for a long time. And that would be an important development. And the fact that he is on the verge of, like, he's 5 goals away from a 20-goal season, and he's gotten a little hot here offensively. Like, the fact that he's getting kind of to the other side of a rookie wall that I think he for sure hit earlier this year. And now, he's got more opportunity. He's playing down the middle. All these things are really good developments for the Predators.
Yeah, and they badly needed it. And if they do, if they do catch fire a little bit here, if they hang in there and make a push, that's if he's one of the key reasons. I mean, that's like, kind of best case scenario. You've got some veterans who obviously what they can do and what they've done. They're going to be key too. But a guy like him helping drive that, I mean, that also speaks to the future a little bit while you're trying to make this run. And this could be. I mean, we have no idea what it's going to look like next year, what's going to happen over the summer, who's going to be where, all that stuff. But this could be their last shot at the postseason for a while.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen from here, but. If some of these, and look, you throw Ufko in there, like Ufko's only played 6 games. So we'll see, right? I mean, the 6 games is not a large sample size. I think he looked pretty darn good when he's been in there. Like he looks like a guy to me that's ready to stick in the NHL. So again, it's 6 games. There have been plenty of guys that have played well for, a 10, 15 game period. And then it kind of plateaus and you start to see it go the other way. So, I'm not for sure willing to say that he's made it yet, but Ufko looks when you start to look at the whole body of work, Joe, like he was their best player in Milwaukee all year long. He was really, really good down there. And then he's come up to the NHL and has immediately started to play well. Like there's a growth track that's pretty easy to follow with Ufko and Wood right now. So you're feeling really good about those two.
Yeah. And the more of that, the better, obviously for the Preds. That's one thing when you move some guys, it does create the opportunity. I mean, I'm sure that they would love to have, McCarron still and things like that. But you create some opportunity in different spots for people. And it's good to see some prospects who actually look like they've got, a chance here.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Predators head coach Andrew Brunette will join us coming up next. We'll get in tonight's big game with the Seattle Kraken with him. We got the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up later this hour at 7:45. Again, Charles Robinson normally with us on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. He will be with us tomorrow at 7:30. Andrew Brunette up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. Big game for the Preds tonight, taking on the Seattle Kraken. And to help us talk more about that, we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Predators head coach Andrew Brunette to the program. Brought to you by Aero Exterminators, going beyond the call. Aero Exterminators, a proud partner with the Nashville Predators. Andrew, good morning. How we doing?
Good morning, guys. Doing good.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. So obviously, Andrew, that's a long road trip. That's an exhausting, I'm sure, road trip. But you guys get a big win in Winnipeg the last time out, setting up a huge game tonight. So overall, what did you make of the way your team played on the road trip? Where do you feel like your guys' game is right now as a whole?
Yeah, I thought we hung in there on the road trip. I think it was an emotional week, the trade deadline week, and kind of getting right back at it in Buffalo. We started that little bit of a trip there, and thought we played a real sound game. We didn't get points, out of, and then going to Seattle is a big win for our group. Thought we played, especially the second half of the game really well. A little disappointing in Vancouver, letting that late lead slip. Responded pretty well in Edmonton, against a desperate team, and fell a little bit short. And we got 2 big points in Winnipeg. So our game's still, obviously we've had some changes. We're still trying to build it back up to where I think it should be. I don't think we're there quite yet. And tonight will be a great test. I mean, these games coming back from, a long road trip are always the ones that keep you sleepless at night. And, where we're at, I think we understand the importance. We got to get the energy, which we should have, especially coming back at home where it's an exciting time of year to be playing.
Well, Andrew, you mentioned the trading deadline, and a lot of teams obviously have to kind of deal with that depending on what they do, and then you have to figure some things out. And obviously, people are disappointed to see some guys go. But do you end up getting any kind of a bump from that too? Sort of like, okay, this is what we've got now. There's certainty, and also maybe a little bit of like, let's show everybody that we can still do this.
Yeah, for sure. I think, as a coaching staff, it gives you a little certainty. I think for some of the players that were in flux or weren't sure they're going to go or stay, and we had a couple of those guys that it was psychologically kind of draining a little bit of a week. But then you bring up the young guys that bring a lot of energy and excitement. And I think the balance hopefully is getting there. I think early on it was a little bit difficult to kind of get going right away. But the young kids had a lot of energy and kind of carried us through some of those games here. So that's a big step. So, yeah, I think, all in all, I think it is. We'll get there. Like I said, it was a big win in Winnipeg. It was kind of an emotional game, and I think the energy was back on the bench, so hopefully we can build off that.
So, Andrew, we've talked a lot this week about Matthew Wood. He's scored some big goals for you guys lately. Got a big one the other night against Connor Hellebuck and Winnipeg. Obviously, you've moved him down the middle, and we've talked some about that. But what do you make of just the way that he's playing, the way that he seems to be elevating his game, and how much do you think, moving him to center maybe has unlocked some of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's done a heck of a job at center. I think he's excited to play center. A little bit of an experiment with them, and he's handled it really well. Even his face-offs. I think he's played during almost his whole life besides the last few years, so I think he's comfortable there. Seems to have been able to. He could be our deadliest player through the middle of the ice, coming up with speed, and he's made some unbelievable plays that some weren't even goals. So you could see that vision and creativity through the middle. And I don't know if it's unlocked. I think he's had a really good year. It's just a little bit more opportunity right now playing with Phil and Archie or Phil and Vange. And he's able to, you play those players, you're always going to, if you're capable, elevate your game. And he's elevated his game. So good for him. We're kind of watching him grow before our eyes here. And there'll be some speed bumps, but hopefully he can keep that momentum he's got going right now and keep building his game.
Do you think, his long-term future is down the middle, or do you not let yourself get too far ahead on someone like that?
That's a great question. I mean, I think philosophically, in my view of hockey, I see him as a center. I think the way, and if you look organizationally through the depth charts, I think if we can get him there, I think that'll just make whoever's job comes in and going forward, I think that's a strength that you need to win in this level through the middle of the ice. And the more you have of them, the better off you'll be. So I think, I see him as a center. I love speed and creativity through the middle of the ice, and I think he brings that. And, you see him in the face-off circle, and he's pretty detailed defensively. Obviously, there's some growth there, like every young player. But I believe he can get there, and I think it'll be an important piece for this franchise going down the road.
So, Andrew, it's only been 6 games for Ufko. For the most part, I've been pretty impressed watching him play. What have you made of the way that he's kind of stepped into things here in the middle of a playoff race at the NHL level?
Yeah, good for him. I think he deserved the opportunity. I think we talked about this, and I think he's grabbed it. There's some inconsistencies in his game on the defensive side, but I think you can see his offensive upside, the way he sees the game, the poise he has with the puck. He got probably one of the prettiest goals I've ever seen as a first NHL goal, especially from a defenseman. It was pretty spectacular. So, yeah, you see a lot of the upside. There's some things that same with Woody. There's things that we got to grow to make them a pro every night. And he went into some tough buildings, had some tough matchups. You think you get on the road a little bit and you get in Winnipeg or Edmonton, and you're going to see McDavid and Scheifele, and you kind of get picked on a little bit. And I thought he kind of held his own for the most part. And those are all great growing, learning experience for these young players to play in these games, to play against top guys down the stretch where, all those teams we play on the road were really desperate teams for the most part. And I thought he handled himself really well.
UC Saros playing well. Obviously, you guys are going to need his best here to get this done. Andrew, did you think the Olympics helped him in any way?
Yeah, I think so. I think he was very proud of his performance over there. We all watched. I thought he was outstanding. And I think he's carried it over here. I think when he first got back, obviously, it's an emotional letdown for a lot of those guys. And even our Olympians, the travel and the highs and lows and the excitement level going there. But I thought he's responded really quickly. He's carried us on this road trip for the most part, especially in Winnipeg and in Seattle, where he was outstanding. So I think even in Winnipeg, where Vancouver, we weren't really sharp. He got us a point that game. So I think his game feels really good where it is, and we're going to need him. I mean, I think obviously with everything that's gone on, we're going to need that stabilizing factor all the way through the end of the year, and we're going to need him to steal a few games, and he did that the other night.
Andrew, I'm just curious from your perspective, obviously we know how gifted Ryan O'Reilly is as a player. What specifically do you think makes him so good in shootout situations where it just seems like the last 3 years he's been absolute money for you guys in those situations?
Yeah, he has obviously he's an innate ability not to let the moment get too big. I think we've seen it in the St. Louis Stanley Cup run where he was Conn Smythe, but just even day-to-day play-to-play. I mean, I think he has an unbelievable ability to let the last play go and be ready for the next one. And he's as cool as you're going to get in any situation. I mean, I don't think he has a heartbeat when he's got those kind of plays. And I think, one, it's inner confidence, and two, it's that mental ability just to be in the moment. And he's done that since I've known him. And I think, it's been a pleasure to coach, and I've seen him do it big moments in other places playing against him. And he's a pretty special player, and we're lucky to have him.
Obviously, he was a discussion point for weeks leading up to the deadline, Andrew, and then he's not ultimately dealt. What is the benefit beyond what he does on the ice as a player, but what's the benefit for him being in this franchise moving forward, I guess in particular for young guys?
Well, yeah, I think, one, he's the ultimate pro. I think he does everything. His preparation, his work after practice, the work he puts in his game and his mental game. I think for anybody that's around him and being a sponge to see what he does every day. And I think I see from my perspective, being there for 3 years, I've seen the growth in a guy like Evangelista, where he sees, factor work every day after practice, how he prepares for a game, how he handles himself with his teammates, how he lives in that moment, like I was talking about, how he's able to get the team to move on quickly. And his fingerprints are all over all these young kids. And I think, I was very fortunate to have his brother Cal when I was upstairs in Minnesota. He brought that same kind of thing to our American League team in Iowa, where we had Eric Sinek and we had Luke Cunningham and we had Jordan Greenway and all these kids, that young players that we're looking for an influence to how to play, how to be a pro, how to do the right things, how to prepare yourself, how to stay in the moment, how to work on your skills every day. And if you watch him before practice, just watch and learn. And he grabs them and they gravitate towards him. And I see him before practice or after practice, and they're working on little things in the game that I think are so important And a lot of people don't see those little things. They're looking for the highlight goals, but he does all the little things that you're evidence for the hockey fan to see in every play in the game. So he's helping our kids dramatically. And then obviously for our group, he's able to handle, as we get younger, he's able to handle the McDavids and McKinnons, and he could play against top guys, which gives a little freedom to the rest of your lineup. So he brings so much. And like I said, his fingerprints are all over here.
So, Andrew, last thing for you here. Obviously, it's a big game tonight, taking on Seattle. You guys saw them last week. So what do you think of just the matchup? What kind of stands out to you about this Seattle team that you're taking on tonight?
Well, they're fast. They're going to play a fast, in-your-face kind of game. And then they defend extremely well. They pack it in, and they'll be patient in the defensive zone, and they push the pace offensively. And I thought they got to us a little bit where we didn't nullify their speed early, especially on the forecheck. And, we gave up a little bit more than we liked, especially early in that game, until we got on our toes. So tonight it's going to be really important for us to get going right away. And that's been a little bit of the Achilles tendon for our group. I thought that Winnipeg was, perfect ingredients to have a fast start. I thought we were quick out of the gate. We drew a penalty early, which usually it's the other way around. We scored a power play goal. We got ahead. We put ourselves in a position to get to our game at different times. And did it go 100% as planned? It didn't, and it never does. But I thought the ingredients were there for that kind of start. And that's what we're going to need tonight. Just that mindset. That's the first 10 minutes. Let's get to our game and, not wait. We've had a tendency to wait ourselves into a little bit of a game or to feel it out a little bit. And I wish I knew what it was. I think we talk about it every day, but I'm hoping we can build off our start in Winnipeg and bring that here tonight.
Well, it should be fun. It's going to be a fun environment at Bridgestone tonight. Andrew, looking forward to it. Appreciate so much you taking time to be with us this morning, and we will talk to you soon.
Actually, wait, one thing,
right,
one
guys.
quick thing, one quick thing. We ask you about fantasy football sometimes. Did you fill out a bracket?
I haven't filled out a bracket. So yeah, I'm disappointed. We were traveling yesterday. Usually I do every year.
You still have time. You got some time. You're not busy.
I know
today,
I
right?
got time.
Is anything going on?
Well, I might sneak one in. I might
There we
sneak
go.
one in, but I watching Vanderbilt. That's exciting. I saw them in the SEC. That's unbelievable to be part of this over here. The football, and then you got the basketball. So definitely keeping my eye out on them, and they're a fun team to watch.
No doubt.
No doubt. Andrew, thanks so much for being with us, man. We'll see you soon.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Absolutely. Andrew Brunette, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode, brought to you by Aero Exterminators. Going beyond the call, Aero Exterminators, a proud partner with the Nashville Predators. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Totally screwed up as a parent.
And I was out there covering this, and there was so much weed smoke, I was high out of my mind.
My joints are all fine.
The contact buzz, I just wanted to go get some taquitos.
Hey, Alante, Paul Kuharski, paulkuharski.com. Nice to meet you.
Paul Kuharski. Have I mentioned my name? It's Kuharski, and it's paulkuharski.com.
So, Alante. They've got you giving up 8 touchdowns last year, 13 the last 2 years.
You couldn't stop anybody from getting in the end zone last year. What's with that?
Why do they catch all the balls in the end zone against you, Alante?
Great question.
It is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. That may have been the best mashup of all time. God, that was amazing. Joe, the floor is yours.
Holy cow. Oh, God, I got to go back.
Ian, I need you to send that mashup to me. That's going in the all-timer. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, if PK isn't listening, then, man, he needs to. Now I feel like I feel bad that I'm not ranting about like PK and or Alante Taylor, So I'm going to try to do a little experiment here. This is probably going to go really poorly. About 7:15, yeah, I know. About a half hour ago, I'm sitting here doing the show, and I'm like, what the hell? What the hell is that sound? It's like this thumping, and I'm like, what is going on here? And I look out my window. Okay, we're gonna try this. It's fine. We'll give it a try. I look at my window, and it's 7:15 a.m., and Nebraska fans are all over the courtyard here with a DJ drinking and tailgating like it's freaking like it's Nebraska,
national championship,
Oklahoma,
baby. Here we go.
It's
Tommy Frazier's walking through the building.
It's amazing. Let me see if I can do. Yeah, this is probably going to be here. Let's see here. There we go.
Ian, what are the chances he takes himself off the air by picking up his entire setup?
Oh, it's quite
right
possible. Now? Or we have a complete drop shatter of the computer right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if you can see these people. So the arena is like right there. Here's these people. Actually, it's thinned out. Like last time I looked, it was like a ton of them. Some of them may have gone in to get a little breakfast buffet, but like
if you're watching on YouTube right now, you're getting quite the treat.
So this goes along with, and I was telling somebody this yesterday. I covered like the first time I covered a Nebraska basketball game. It was, what year would it have been? 2012, 2013, something like that. Shortly after they got into the Big Ten, and I had never really thought much ever in my life about Nebraska basketball, Nebraska ball, as you might call it. I remember went out there, and Michigan State had it might have been a Draymond team, I don't know, but I just remember sitting there and being like, this is one of the greatest atmospheres I've ever seen for Nebraska basketball. I will say my rant is a proclamation today. I think that Tennessee fans, it's one of the biggest and most loyal fan bases. And I think with Tennessee, you see like baseball, they get good out of nowhere. Look at the support. Look at what happens when a Tony Vitello comes through, and all of a sudden you're building all this stuff and you're all over everything. Tennessee fans are going to support, a winning team. I think that Nebraska fans are the greatest sports fans. I think Nebraska fans are the greatest sports fans. And I'll tell you another thing about them. It's kind of weird, but if you ever go to a game in Lincoln, a football game in Lincoln, they are, and this was probably a lot easier for them when they were like good, but they are famously incredibly polite, in particular to the opposing team. So in warmups, it's like no one says, "Hey, fart you, loser." They are like, "Hey, it's really great to see you. I hope you have a great day today. I hope we win, but I really wish you the best of luck out there." I'm not kidding you. They scream like pleasantries and compliments at the opposing team. It's a real thing, which to me is like, it probably actually gets in the heads of people, right? If you're used to like people heckling you and you're getting like, "Hey man, you're looking really good out there today in warm-ups." So that uniqueness, along with now these people are out here getting hammered at 7 a.m. in a courtyard of a courtyard hotel before a basketball game
in Oklahoma City.
It's like the lady from Fargo. The main character in Fargo just walking around with that accent being so nice, but also just, a ruthless detective.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. You remember that, do you? You remember that part or no? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a great one. Fran, please help me.
I can't remember. Dolores somehow sticks out the name.
I mean, she's an all-time Frances McDormand, right?
There you go. Yeah.
All-time great actor. Yeah. So anyway, these fans are they're now I have to we'll see in the arena, if it's as dominant as it looks like it might be, but what an incredible fan base. And I'm going to say this from Vanderbilt's perspective, like they are going to be against you today. Again, I guess honestly, if you're a Vanderbilt fan, I guess you would have rooted anyway for them to lose, right? But if they win, you are going to be in a very hostile environment. Now they might be like, "Hey, Vanderbilt, we hope you lose today, but by golly, you guys are really shooting well in warm-ups."
Yeah.
But they're going to be cheering against you.
All I hear from all that you're describing is Nebraska's not cut out for the SEC. It doesn't mean more.
Well, I mean, it's very different for sure. It's funny too because like Nebraska and Iowa are kind of they're rivals.
Yeah,
and Iowa fans are like famously awful to the opposing, and they're like the stands are really close to the field there, like really close. You can hear everything they say, and they're like horrible to them. So it's kind of interesting.
Really,
the corn-fed, the corn-fed Midwesterners, they're not all the same.
I didn't know that the Hawkeyes fans apparently just get after people all the time. Good to know.
Again, it's like some of it is just because you can actually you can't get away if you're on the opposing bench. You can hear everything. They're like right on top of you. It's almost like if you cover a game at Cameron Indoor Stadium, like students are actually like rubbing against your back and spitting on your neck and editing your story.
Yeah,
because that's how close they are.
There we go. Good to know. Watch out for Iowa Hawkeyes people out there. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Coming up next, Rexrode participated in an exercise, and I'm stunned by the end result of it. Not necessarily from him, but just in general. We'll get into it coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. We are normally joined on Thursday mornings at 8 o'clock by Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. He will be with us tomorrow on the program at 7:30. So we will have Charles tomorrow at 7:30. We will get into the Titans, all things NFL with him at that time. So looking forward to that. The NCAA tournament getting underway today. Rexrode is out in Oklahoma City. Vanderbilt in action. We will get back into that later this hour as well. Joe participated in a mock draft, I believe, is it 2.0? Mock draft 2.0 between the beat writers at The Athletic.
Yep.
With the Titans picking at number 4, obviously. So, Joe, we've talked about this earlier this week. Pretty much everywhere you look, whether it's Daniel Jeremiah or Mel Kiper or Dane Brugler, like all the momentum seems to have the Titans taking Jeremiah Love at number 4. And we talked yesterday, I mean, throughout the show yesterday where we had Kuharski come on, we had between the calls and texts we got, we probably had, 15, 20 people just screaming about how much they love Jeremiah Love. So I understand that. Like, people are on the love train, and I get it. I was interested to see when you participated in this exercise here that's now up at The Athletic, the Beat Writer Mock Draft 2.0, how you would handle this. So, Joe, with that in the background of all this, what did you make of the decision that was available to you between some of these pass rushers we've talked about and Jeremiah Love being on the board?
Yeah, well, and that's it's funny because, the headline and the main picture is Jeremiah Love. So the question, the one thing with these is these are just writers, and a lot of times what the writers think that the team should do is not at all what the team does or what but in this exercise, the reason that he's the headline and the reason that he's the main photo is, I mean, I said it yesterday. If David Bailey's available and he was in this mock draft, that's the way I'm going. And so then you get into, okay, well, first of all, we've talked about like the possibility of someone trying to come up to 3 to get Love. To me, like moving up into the top 3 to draft a running back is like, okay, so is it Barry Sanders 2.0? Like, I have a hard time buying that. But the Cardinals are a little bit of a wild card, and no pun intended. And so like it's a possibility, but I just don't see it. I think it really comes down to, are the Titans going to take Jeremiah Love at 4? And if not, well, it gets interesting. We know that the Chiefs were a team that we were talking about a lot, but now they just signed Kenneth Walker. They don't need to do that. They wouldn't not do that. In this particular exercise, he fell to the middle of the draft, specifically 14. And the Ravens, it's and Jeff Zrebeck, friend of the show, basically like, okay, well, sometimes you just go BPA and it's like, oh, geez, really? Yeah, let's do it. They have Derrick Henry, but he's 32. And look, I don't know. I don't know how much more Derrick Henry has, but I mean, that could also be a compliment backfield too, a pretty freaking good one. And the point that he makes is like in 2022, it was like, well, okay, take Kyle Hamilton. It's not really a need, but he's the best football player available. Well, gee, did that work out pretty well? I'd say it did. So might end up being a big, benefit for someone else if he falls like that. I don't know if he would. Like, who else would possibly, could the Saints possibly look there at 8? I think that's possible. I don't know. I like would the Bengals think about it? I'm not sure, but bottom line is I passed on him, and I think that I made the right decision. And I have no idea if the Titans are going to think the same way once they come upon that pick. I mean, that's one of the big questions of the draft.
I have no problem with you passing on him. Like, we've talked about it. Like if David Bailey or Arvell Reese are there at number 4 and you're picking between them and Jeremiah Love, I'd probably go one of those two over Jeremiah Love just because of the value of the position and how good I think those players are. I almost made this the Rob rant when I saw that he fell to 14. I was like, how could this happen? How in the world could this happen where Jeremiah Love falls to number 14 and he goes to the Ravens of all teams? I almost hijacked the rant.
Yeah, well, and let's see. I'm trying to, as I look at this, trying to see like how many people like mentioned him as a possibility. It's like there's a lot. I mean, shoot, the Giants. There's a lot of teams that you could make the case to possibly do it. I think Downs is another guy that's just a really interesting. Okay, well, I forgot about with the Saints. The ETN signing.
Sure,
that's something that you keep in mind. So Larry Holder went with Tate from Ohio State. So obviously the Chiefs, and this is the thing too. I look at this and it's like, I just feel like whoever gets Ruben Bain, like they're going to get him lower than he should go, and they're just going to end up having a hell of a football player, and so of course it would be some team like the Chiefs. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these teams you could definitely make the case. Yeah, like just about everybody here is mentioning Love as they don't,
take him.
Yeah, they don't take him. Dolphins mention Love, don't take him. Cowboys mention Love, don't take him. The Rams mention Love, don't take him. And by the way, if they do end up, we've talked a million times about the Rams getting Mekhi Lemon, and here we are again. I mean, like, I'm sorry, but if I was, that's just, my goodness. Mekhi Lemon with Adams and Nakua, I mean, they're going to win it all.
Look, if I was them, I'd probably think about drafting Love too. I mean, I know they've got some good backs, but my God, like even like Cincinnati. Cincinnati needs all sorts of help on the defensive side of the ball. Like, can you imagine an offense with Burrow, Chase, Higgins, and Love? It's just crazy.
No, I absolutely. No, I think that's the one. And actually, Paul didn't even mention the possibility, but I agree. It's like, I mean, their defense is, it needs so much work, but yeah, it's like, imagine if he would be terrific. And that would be I think that they haven't been the same since, when they had Mixon, that made a difference for them. And they've kind of been looking for that since his tenure ended. So it is hard. I don't think he's going to sneak outside the top 10. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
I think if he starts to slide like that, somebody's going to trade up and get him. That's what I think. Like, maybe they don't trade up to 3, as we've talked about, because that's a heck of a thing to do. But once you can start to get down to like 8, right? Like if he slides to 8, if you're somebody that's back there, I don't know whether you're LA or whether you're the Jets have another first round pick, right? Like the Jets have, number 16 overall from Indianapolis. Could they package something together to move up and get him? Like, I think if he starts sliding, you're going to see a team out there get pretty aggressive and go up and get it before he would make it to 14.
Yeah. You're probably right. But we may never see any of this because the Titans are just going to take him at 4.
It could happen. Yeah, it very well could happen. Yeah.
Don't take my word for the Titans not taking him at 4. I'm just saying I don't think they should.
Well, I still think the most intriguing team in this draft is Arizona at 3 because I have no idea what they're going to do. I mean, they could take an offensive tackle. They could definitely use another edge rusher out there. I mean, they need a quarterback, but I don't think they're going to do that. But they do need a quarterback. They just got rid of Kyler Murray. So what's that going to look like? They got a brand new coaching staff, so they're a total wild card to me. I have no idea what they're going to do at number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, like maybe they really want to trade down, maybe that's what they're hoping to do. I am seeing this on the text line. So apparently on the Ross Tucker podcast, Greg Cosell said there's a clear number 1, I guess that means prospect. And that's Jeremiah Love. He said, quote, I think he's a significantly better prospect than Ashton Genty from a year ago, end quote. So, well, hey, look, if that's what he is, if he's going to be a preeminent star in this league, and
take it.
Yeah, I'm not. It's fine. Like I'm not. I don't have a problem with it. I just really, just really think if Bailey is what I think he is, man, you could actually in one off season have yourself like a winning defense, and I'm like that's not easy to do.
Well, I've heard Alante Taylor gives up a lot of touchdowns, so you have to work on that. Great question.
Yeah, what was his answer?
I don't know.
We can play it if you'd like.
Yeah, I would like to. I would like to hear the whole interaction. Your mashup was amazing, but yeah,
Hey,
I would like.
Paul Kuharsky, paulkuharsky.com. Nice to meet you. I know the numbers that are out there by outside analytics aren't always dead on, but they've got you giving up 8 touchdowns last year, 13 the last 2 years. How do you feel about what you've done in terms of keeping people out of the end zone, and how much do you maybe need to get better at that element?
Great question. I think what first and foremost, man, I think you have to think about schemes. You have to understand responsibilities. I've obviously seen those numbers myself, and I've went back and looked at film myself, and I've ran over every single defensive call that we've had where touchdowns were scored, and it's like 8 touchdowns this past season is crazy. But if that's what people see on film, and if people feel like those are my responsibilities, then that is what it is. I mean, playing the position that I play, that can happen. But, at the end of the day, man, just locking in on my job and what I can do to help this team and to help this secondary is all that I care about. I mean, wins and losses is the most important thing here. And I think, when we do things as a team and we win as a team, all the individual stuff, it is what it is. And so I think I can't really sit here and say, I got to do this better, do that better, do this better, do that better. I think ultimately just continue to just do my job and get better as a player every single day, get better as a teammate every single day. And then come Sundays, just go out there and just put, my best foot forward.
Nice diplomatic response there.
He handled it well.
Taylor.
Yeah,
he did.
He did. No, he handled it well. The only thing I wish I would have liked to have just heard. So, okay. That I totally get that. I think that this happens all the time. It's like, especially like some of these like instant grades of people PFF does. It's like, you don't know what. Sometimes as the left guard, you're actually supposed to invite someone in on a play,
right?
And you're going to knock him for like missing a block when actually that was the play or whatever it is. Coverages. I just would have liked to have heard Taylor say like, actually, I gave up 3.
Right.
Like I gave myself 3 last year, but 8 is crazy. No, that was a really good answer, and I'm glad that PK is making friends right away.
I am too. 615-737-1025. More reaction to Joe passing on Jeremiah Love in the mock draft for the Athletic. And then I guess everybody else doing it too with him falling down to number 14. We'll take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of football offseason coverage on 102.5 The Game. By the way, some news in the NFL. The Minnesota Vikings are re-signing Carson Wentz. So he's got a one-year deal in Minnesota, which means Kyler Murray is in Minnesota. Now Carson Wentz is in Minnesota. So is J.J. McCarthy going to be the backup? Is he going to be the third string? Are they going to trade J.J. McCarthy? You got a quarterback room right now of Murray, Wentz, and McCarthy. So that's pretty interesting in Minnesota there. So that's the news on that front. Is there going to be a market for J.J. McCarthy? I don't know. This whole thing's weird. You've got Murray and Wentz, and now McCarthy's just sitting there as, I guess, the second string quarterback. But are you carrying Carson Wentz as your third? I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, that's quite a room. That whole thing is really, man, just fascinating. We've talked about the whole thing just with Kyler and O'Connell. It's funny because, by the way, apparently the entire Nebraska basketball team, all the media who cover Nebraska, as far as I can tell, they're all Vikings fans. So this is like a lot of what they were talking about in the locker room yesterday is like, then there's quite a bit. I will tell you, because Nebraska fans are kind of like the dominant topic of the show. They are pretty excited about Kyler Murray, and I think that they're ready to move on from J.J. McCarthy already. He is gonna. I think he is going to emerge somewhere at some point.
I think so too. It's amazing. I mean, how many games did he play last year? Like, it's amazing to me that, I mean, they drafted him where they drafted him, and he ended up playing. Let me pull it up. He played, let's see here. This is taking forever to load. Sorry. He played 10 games. 10 games last year. And they're already like, yep, we've seen enough. That's it. Get Kyler in here, get Carson Wentz in here.
And in two of those games, he was unbelievable in the fourth quarter to beat the Bears, and he dominated the Lions on the road. Like, they couldn't stop him. So it's like it wasn't like it was like all bad. Now there was some bad too. There was more bad than good, clearly. But like, I still feel like there's enough good where you're like, okay, this is what you do. You have young quarterbacks, they're erratic, they develop. I mean, obviously he needs to like calm down a little bit, like when he's in the locker room, like looking like he wants to like rip someone's head off after a win. But he's young. I mean, we'll see. It'll be interesting. I mean, maybe it ends up being good for him. Kyler Murray comes in and then like the pressure's off JJ, and then at some point he gets another opportunity. But the Vikings fandom seems to be out on him.
Caleb and Gallatin talking about Orlovsky on the McAfee show yesterday, and saying he pretty much said that Jeremiah Love will help Cam Ward's development, and he'd take him over an edge rusher because they don't have a go-to guy on offense that Cam can consistently rely on. So we've talked about that. Like, it's been a busy offseason on defense so far for the Titans. Wan'Dale Robinson has come in. And again, as I said yesterday, like, I understand Wan'Dale Robinson is not A.J. Brown or anything. I do think it's probably gone too far the other way where it's like, it's Wan'Dale Robinson. Who cares? It's like, well, he did catch 93 passes 2 years ago, caught 92 last year. So, like, it's not insignificant. Like, it's a pretty good ad for the Titans, I think, at wide receiver. But, like, there's nobody on offense right now that really scares you if you're an opposing defense. So Love would probably change that if he's the level of player that everybody seems to think that he is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, first of all, like last year, you're talking about a banged up Ridley, two rookies who did some things. And certainly like overall, DK is a pretty exciting player, but two rookies, a little bit of Chig out there and stuff. I mean, like Wan'Dale Robinson absolutely makes a difference. So I agree with you. It's basically just dismissed, but he's going to be a high volume, important part of the offense. And Cam did not have a guy like that, like a reliable outlet to get 6-7 yards, when you need it. I mean, it's important to have that, and they can do different things with them. So, I mean, yeah, if you add Love now too, and I think that's the thing, people making the point on the YouTube chat is, the pass catching element of this is the thing that's maybe most exciting or more exciting than some people realize, and if he's going to be, Marshall Faulk out there,
Yeah.
like absolutely that. If you draft him there, then to me, that's a necessity. It's like he is a 3-down back and he's doing a little more than even just, running little choice routes in the middle of the field. Like you're intentional about getting the ball in his hands a lot. And if he's as good as people say, then yeah, those two additions alone make a difference. And then I think they're still going to draft a receiver.
Here's a question for you. Who's more likely to slide out of the top 10, Love or Ruben Bain?
That's a good question. Results of, writers' choices aside, I think I probably would go with Bain because I'm kind of with you. It's like if Love were to get down into the bottom of the top 10, it seems like either someone gets him or one of those teams is like, okay, you just can't pass it up. That just kind of seems the way it would go. Whereas Bain, I don't think he will. I don't think either of them will. I think they'll both go in the top 10. But yeah, the Bain thing, I'm sure some teams are like, it just doesn't, like history tells us, like he doesn't really have a position and it's not going to work against the best tackles in this league. So, but I also think like there's going to be some teams that are like, oh, I don't give a crap. He's a football player. Watch the film. And I think that team is going to end up being right. They could be outside the top 10.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I don't guess I think either one of them goes. I think the answer to that question is clearly Bain. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there are some teams, and I don't know how many, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are some teams like when it comes to the first round that just will not draft him based on the arm stuff. That absolutely will be the case.
Yeah, no, it will.
All it takes is one, but that will be the case.
Yeah, he's destined to me to like be one of those. And I don't know that it'll, because I still don't know, like, is he going to be a dedicated edge or is he going to be like a guy who plays in the interior a fair amount? Either way, he's going to be a guy who I think demonstrates to people, look, sometimes it's just, you just take someone who's a great football player and you figure out a way to maximize them and don't sometimes it's like, don't overthink it.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will get back into the NCAA tournament coming up next, including a big game for Vanderbilt today in the 5-12 matchup that's coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Today, Vanderbilt men's basketball takes on McNeese in the NCAA tournament with a 2:15 tip-off. Pre-game show starting at 1:45 on 102.5 The Game Nashville app. Coverage presented by Gary Force Acura. Joe Rexrode will be there today for Vanderbilt and McNeese in the 5-12 matchup. We went through that matchup earlier in the show. Joe, I've said it. I've had this weird feeling all week that McNeese is going to win. I have no scientific formula for it. It's just a weird feeling that I've had. So that's what I went with on my bracket. What do you make of the matchup for Vanderbilt against McNeese? And if you're a Vandy fan, watching your team just go to the SEC championship game and figure some things out along the way in there. Obviously, they've gotten healthier as the season's gone on here, so that part is good. What do you make of Vanderbilt? If you're a Doors fan, how you should be feeling about your team heading into this and the matchup today against McNeese?
Is your weird feeling the feeling of a Vols fan who hates Vanderbilt and wants them to lose? Is that the weird feeling we're having today?
No, because I've got Tennessee losing on Saturday too, or I guess it would be Sunday.
So basically, you just hate all the local teams. All right,
yeah, I'm just a local hater. Yeah,
WHTR. I think seriously though, Vanderbilt. It's a tricky game. McNeese, Will Wade leaves for NC State. Real quick, I didn't realize this, but I was talking to Amir Khan, the famous manager of McNeese, who in the locker room yesterday, there were all these cameras and stuff all around him, and no one was talking to any of the players. But
it's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I didn't realize he actually initially followed Will Wade to NC State, and then he was like, "Okay, this sucks," and he just went to McNeese State. So, or McNeese, yeah, everybody's taking state out of, so it's McNeese. It was forever McNeese State.
Yeah.
But they are, even without Will Wade and some of the really talented guys on that team last year, we saw what they did in the tournament. They're still a very talented team. And the guy to watch is number 6, Larry Johnson, freshman, 6'4", not
Grandmama.
That's a great name in basketball history. He's not quite that Larry Johnson, but 6'4", 200, physical, bullying, driving wing who averages 17.5, 5.5 rebounds, and just broke Joe Dumars' freshman scoring record at McNeese. And he's a tough matchup. There's not an obvious, to me, starter who, I think it'll probably be it'll be Okereke or Tyler Nickel, probably Okereke, but I think Chandler Bing, actually. I would not be surprised at all if there's a extended stretches today where Chandler Bing is the choice to deal with Larry Johnson. But they like to pressure, they press, they have different defenses they throw at teams, they try to turn teams over. I think if Vanderbilt takes care of the ball, then I think Vanderbilt's going to get great shots, and I like them. But if McNeese can impose itself a little bit, and obviously hit shots, it's last night, it was basically Miami just launch away, and they took 43s, and they hit 15 of them, and there you go. So that's always part of usually part of the recipe for the lower seeded teams to get an upset too.
Yep. So we'll see if Vanderbilt can avoid that. If you're Tyler Tanner, you're feeling great about the way you're playing heading into all this. Conventional wisdom says Vanderbilt should win this game. It's the NCAA tournament. We're going to see what it looks like. Joe, we went through this earlier in terms of games played today beyond Vanderbilt and McNeese. What kind of jumps off the page to you the most? We do get in my opinion, an intriguing 8-9 matchup today with Ohio State and TCU. So the winner of that's going to take on likely Duke. So I'm interested to see what happens in that game. But beyond Vanderbilt and McNeese, what other games kind of jump out at you today?
Yeah, well, certainly the other side of that, which is the first game here, and the second game of the entire day at 11:40. Oh, it's on True TV. Hope you have True TV, everybody. But Troy, Nebraska. That's it's a dangerous game. It's a history game for Nebraska. This raging party out here. By the way, I think the party is actually it's a sports talk show in Nebraska that is hosting this thing. So
okay, cool.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good live remote for them. These people are getting after it. But that's a really interesting one. I think High Point, Wisconsin could be very interesting. I think South Florida is going to beat Louisville with Mikel Brown Jr. out. Yeah, I mean, I picked that without knowing his status, and now that I know he's out, I just
Louisville 4.5 point favorite.
Yeah,
Kind of a lower spread. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely. I mean, hey, maybe I'm not giving North Dakota State enough credit against assistant regional 10-year anniversary, man. 10-year anniversary of Michigan State as a 2 losing to 15 seed Middle Tennessee. I'm just saying.
Izzo ain't gonna let that happen again. Ain't gonna let it happen again.
VCU Carolina is a really interesting. 6-11 is often
2.5 point spread there. Only another short one. Small spread there.
Yep. And of course, they don't have Caleb. I get the Caleb's mixed up so much. Wilson, which is too bad because like that team could have made a run, and I just don't see it with them. You picked Texas, right, Robbie?
I did.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I kind of actually regret putting BYU in my bracket because, again, since they started the first 4, at least one team has won the next game from Dayton in all but 2 years. So, like a lot of it, even though it's like, man, they got to get on a plane and they're flying away. I mean, and for Texas, it's out to freaking Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
I mean, but for whatever, like it's like that you get that game under your belt and it gives you a little bit of an advantage. I like St. Louis against Georgia today. I just think, but they haven't been playing that well. So that's a really interesting one.
We got
Buffalo.
The kid with the Rex specs on St. Louis, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Cream Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Blurred. He's got some great nicknames. Robbie Avila does. He's a hell of a player. I mean, he's, sort of the portly big guy, incredible passer, and actually hit a huge deep 3 in their conference tournament.
Quick
too.
little shout out, their head coach, Josh Schertz. He was the head coach at Lincoln Memorial in Harrogate, like Division II. Apparently, I actually worked for his dad and stepmom at a farm to table in Leapers Fork.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
All right.
So they have a farm to table. His dad and stepmom are around here in Middle Tennessee. I still believe Pat and Paul. I worked for him at a farm to table in Leapers Fork before I started working here. And he was telling me about his son, who was the head coach at Lincoln Memorial. And now look at him.
That's crazy. So, okay, so how long ago are we talking here?
This was probably 2013, 2014, something like that.
How good's the food?
Well, I think they've moved it. I don't think it's still open in Leapers Fork anymore, but it was very good, very fresh. They have their own. He moved here from New York and kind of put his old career away, started a local farm in Leapers Fork, and then he turned it into like a catering shop / farm store kind of thing. So, yeah.
Interesting.
There's always a connection to this program somewhere.
Yes, there is. That's pretty cool. Another interesting thing about Josh Schertz is he's like actually like a great tennis player. That was like his sport growing up, which is,
I didn't know you two knew so much about Josh Schertz.
No, how about that? So I guess there's reason for people to root for the Billikens. I mean, I'll do respect to Mike White in Georgia, in the SEC. Like, I think it'd be cool to see St. Louis hang around a little bit. And who would they get a shot at? They'd get Buffalo's. Oh, they'd get a shot at Michigan. Probably wouldn't go well. Yeah, but who knows? Michigan's kind of not playing their best either. Penn, Illinois is another game. I mean, if you want to talk about a deep, super low seed, I just, sometimes a team gets on a roll that they were not expected all to win the Ivy League. They shocked Yale. They do have the kid who scored 44 against Yale. Illinois, they just have a real problem with close games. Can Penn get them into a close game and get in their head a little bit? I don't know. They also might. Yeah, it's TJ Power had 44, I think, against against Yale. So I don't know. That's a little sneaky, like keep an eye on that one kind of game.
615-737-1025, our phone number. One more segment coming up. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the NCAA tournament. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. So, Joe, remind us again of your Final Four and your championship pick.
So I'm going Arizona, no surprise. Michigan, no surprise. Houston, maybe some people might be surprised by that. And St. John's in my Final Four. Every year I like to have at least one like interesting Final Four pick. Maybe that's not the best way to win pools, but I think St. John's, they had the early, really tough loss to 10-seed Arkansas as a 2-seed last year against Cal. Patino losing to Cal is like, oh my goodness. And like the SEC was the greatest conference ever. I think that St. John's is primed for a heck of a run. I think that they have enough shooting. Their offensive efficiency numbers still don't suggest a national championship contender, but I think they're going to get to the Final Four. And actually, I have them beating Houston, facing Arizona, with Arizona winning it, which I know is a popular pick. I mean, I feel like Arizona, Duke, Michigan seems like it's I don't know. It's about a third, right? Among the three most popular picks for the national championship.
Yep, and I've got all three of them in the Final Four, but I do have Houston winning the whole thing. I got Houston taking down Duke in the Final Four and then taking down Arizona in the championship game. So
I kind of want to be
different.
I kind of want to pick Arkansas to make a run because they've been playing so well in ACUF, but man, they play Arizona, in the Sweet 16 there, and that is just tough.
Yeah, are you doing your bracket now? We want your Final Four picks.
Yeah. My Final Four picks were UConn, Houston, Michigan, and Arizona.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, I went with UConn in that one. I know St. John's just beat UConn, but I don't know, something about UConn in March.
No, I could see it. I think UConn,
and
Michigan
Duke's,
State, Duke, they all
Duke's
could
injuries. One guy might be coming back. What is the status of those two? Do we know?
Caleb Foster, Patrick Ngongba is not going to play in the first game, but it's against Siena, so they'll be fine.
Don't disrespect Siena in front of Jim Diamond.
That is true. Jim Diamond. By the way, basketball writer Jim Diamond, who was at the SEC tournament, and was very excited about his Siena Saints or whatever the heck they are. But Caleb Foster will not be back until the Final Four at best. And that's part of why I didn't pick Duke to win the region.
Yeah,
because
that's risky, huh?
Yeah, I think at some point that's really a problem. That guy is a clutch player for them. And hit some big shots, make some big plays. If teams are able to take Cam Boozer out of the equation at times.
No, I'm interested to see how that goes. Duke, I mean, I still think Duke's got enough talent to get it to the Final Four. Their region is really tough, though, and we talked about that. I understand they gotta take down UCF first, but UCLA after Mick Cronin went nuts, feeling a little dangerous out there. I got them taking down UConn and over the weekend.
So do I. So we're picking some things that are like, I think that's one of those that could be trendy, because they've looked so good lately and UConn has looked so bad. Just like Hofstra over Bama is trendy, and then like they'll both just blow up in our faces. But
I know, I really wish I could change that pick, but I can't.
By the way, on the Lincoln Memorial front, shout out to New Kansas State coach Casey Alexander, pointing out Coach Rick Byrd also, that he was at Lincoln Memorial when he came to Belmont. And Rick Byrd, I think, was 32 or 33 at the time, 1986. Okay. I think that's right. And
so
now,
there's a Lincoln Memorial connection everywhere you look.
There is. And also there's now with Evan Brad's similar age to when Rick Byrd got this job. So pretty exciting, and keeping it. I'm not surprised at all that Belmont would keep it in the family.
No.
Of the Rick Byrd family.
Absolutely. I mean, they should. It's worked out pretty well for them so far. So
yeah, for sure. So we're what are we looking at here? About less than 3 hours. I mean, these people out here, are they still raging out here? My gosh. I mean, these Nebraska fans are going to be rocking and rolling for
God help them if Troy wins today. Good grief.
I know if Troy wins, I'm just going to come in my room, barricade myself in this room, and try just avoid the Nebraska fans. But they're very polite.
That's good.
Polite.
That's very good to see. Very good to see. Joe, final thoughts on Vanderbilt and McNeese coming up today in the 5-12 matchup. If Vanderbilt plays to the best of their ability, they should handle this game. We'll see what happens. It's the NCAA tournament. And look, I think we determined the other day this would be the first win they'd have in the NCAA tournament since 2012. So that'd be a big deal to get one today.
Absolutely, and it's an opportunity. This is a second weekend team, and I do if it's Nebraska Vanderbilt, I like Vanderbilt. If that's the case, and we'll know tomorrow if either or both are alive. But yeah, this one can be tricky. McNeese is tricky. If they can turn Vanderbilt over, and then if Vanderbilt, it's like two of the three perimeter guys. I think if two of the three of them have a good day shooting, I think they're fine. You worry like they really had a tough day shooting and finishing against Arkansas, but Nickel did hit shots. Can they get him free today hitting shots? It makes him so much tougher when defenses can't help off him. And then Miles and Tanner both can get in the lane at will. And if you can't help off Nickel, it spaces the floor that much better. So if two of those three guys hit shots and have good productive days, I think they have too much for McNeese. But if you get a couple of them struggling, these games get crazy. Shots you're used to making, the pressure is so high, and the building is going to be against them. Especially if Nebraska wins, the building is going to be against them, rooting like heck for McNeese to win. So Nebraska has on paper, easier path to the Sweet 16.
Joe, enjoy yourself today. It's one of the great days of the year. Hope you have a great time out there in Oklahoma City. I'll be at Bridgestone tonight watching the Preds and the Kraken. Massive game coming up tonight in our city for them as well. So playoff implications on the line. We will be back tomorrow to discuss it all. We'll see if Rexrode survives the onslaught of Nebraska fans that are apparently invading Oklahoma City. That does it for us today. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.